into the Gaming Discourse. I am Tyler Frater alongside Richard Day the Cruz.
Merry Christmas.
And Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Ho, ho, ho.
It is Monday, December 23rd, 2024. Follow us, youtube.com/Gaming Discourse, patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse. You can support us for $247, $10. Get your name in the video credits, early access to our videos, access to our Discord server, and more. If you follow us on Patreon, you recently saw my update on Alien Rogue Incursion. I'm in the middle of kind of working on a review. I don't know at the moment. So there's been kind of some weird stuff happening with Rogue Incursion. Right before release, it suddenly became Rogue Incursion Part 1.
Oh,
There's apparently a Part 2. This is something that's been in the works. That this has been intended, but a lot of people feel like this is a sudden change. I don't have the answers. I don't know if Part 2 is going to be a free update or a paid update. I have reached out to some people to ask. I have not heard back as of yet. And then obviously it's the holiday season, so I mean Christmas is in 2 days, so who knows when I'll hear back. But besides that problem, the game does not seem to run well for everybody. If you look through the Steam reviews, there are people that say, you know, I've got a 4070 and it's great, and the next person, I've got a 4070 and I can't play it. So it's like it seems like performance issues just are kind of random. Yes.
On that point, I don't know if you guys have heard, but with a recent Windows update, a lot of high-end cards are just crashing.
Nice.
Is that the Windows 11 24H
Yes.
or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had to
H2?
I had to install that update twice or something, and I saw a PC Gamer story about that update like causing issues. I don't know if that update is the problem or not. I don't think it would be, but if that's the case, it would be weird because I have other VR games and other games that run perfectly fine.
I have witnessed it break a computer.
Okay, well that's not hopeful, but but
that was the only thing that changed that day.
But for me, the performance is pretty bad in Rogue Incursion. It works, but I've had to like troubleshoot a lot of things. I've had to adjust a lot of different settings, and it's not so bad that I can't play it, but it is bad enough that I'm like, it's kind of ruins the experience because it's just the atmosphere is gone because it's just one, I have to turn down the visuals so much to get it in a spot where it's stable. And of course, the other thing with VR gaming is it's one thing if you are playing on a flat screen, right, and you turn down visuals to get more frames, whatever. It's another thing when you're in VR because now it's no longer just I like how it looks. It makes me more comfortable physically. You know? So you're also fighting like motion sickness and discomfort when it comes to these kinds of things. So I'm having a lot of trouble with it. I'll hold off. I don't know. It's an okay game so far, but like I have had so much trouble with just getting it running and like working in a way that I like that it's kind of hard to know whether or not I like the game itself. So I'm gonna play a little bit more tomorrow. Hopefully I'll hear back, and then I may pivot to something else and just ditch the review and return to it like a months down the road or something like that. But that's sort of the update with Rogue Incursion. Other than that, I've been playing other stuff. I think you guys have been playing other stuff.
Yes.
And we're going to recap the Game Awards. I wanted to do it when Richard was here.
Thank you.
And we've got some fun stuff with Microsoft that we'll talk about later. So yeah, Richard, what have you been?
Yeah.
You were sick.
I was sick, but it's very tough to play video games when you're sick, though.
Yeah, you got scurvy.
And then I had no oranges around. I couldn't help combat that. Huh? Is it not oranges? Did I screw up?
No, that's scurvy. It's a vitamin C deficiency.
No, vitamin C deficiency is jaundice. Vitamin D deficiency is.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, Richie, you got scurvy.
Regardless, scurvy. I was messed up enough that, you know, trying to play games when you're in that, like, there's a lot of like the optics and then your brain like trying to work. You just get like, I can't do this. Like, you can't focus. But anyways, outside of it, I have been playing games. I've been playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, the first one. and
nice.
it's very good so far. It runs great on the Steam Deck. It runs really great on the Steam Deck, and the change to a JRPG mechanic instead of like an action beat 'em up formula is still throwing me off, because I played 6 other games that were like, just go and beat up these guys, but it's just sitting here and kind of taking my time to get used to the turn by turn aesthetic of a Japanese RPG surprisingly works, and it's something to get used to. But I got over it quickly, and not only does it run well, but the story is also engaging enough. I actually was really upset with the main character for a while, because he's quite the headstrong character. He's extremely loyal to his like superior, to an annoying degree. To where like when things are very obviously working against him and happening against him, he still has that like, they'll take me back. Like,
I like to call those a Christopher Moltisanti for any Sopranos fans out there. But anyways,
oh yeah, damn, I gotta catch up on Sopranos. But it's really good so far, and I'm having quite a good time with it. I had all 3 games that I was playing, and I was like, oh yeah, the other one. That one is just going to take some time. I think with Like a Dragon, one of the things that I get frustrated with, and it is a formula that JRPGs have, is that you can tell right when you enter into side stories or cutscene situations, you can tell immediately when you know nothing is going to happen, like in that instance. And so it's very easy for me to like immediately recognize it and just be like, skip. Like just press pause, skip cutscene. Yeah, because it's a lot of them are just, you bump into a character and it's a like mini conversation of like, you bumped into me, like screw you, I hate you. And then it's just like, it's just something that doesn't amount to anything, not only to the main story, but just the outside world also. Like if it pertained to something in the outside world or world building, like I would be fine with it, but it doesn't. It's just, they created a cutscene out of just a singular instance of you having to fight this person. And so it is very easy to just kind of get wrapped up in the like, I'm done, just skip, you're wasting my time. So I'll probably get through with it, because it is fun and easy enough to just sit there and play while you're going to sleep. I started another game that came out a couple months ago called Crypt Custodian, which is a like top-down action game. It's not roguelike, but it has the same type of archetype that Death's Door has. Okay. I don't know if you remember that game where you're the little crow, you're the little crow and you got a sword. And that game was very good. I like that a lot. But Crypt Custodian is similar enough to Death's Door that I'm not getting too deep into it. Okay. Because it's very samey, at least the style of play, your type of upgrades and what you can do. It's very, very cute aesthetically. The animation is really nice, and I do kind of like the characters and stories so far. You're a cat who passes somehow, and then you go to the afterlife. And I knew you kind of explore the afterlife a little bit, and you have to go meet with the person who's going to decide whether you go to heaven or, the underneath. And when you're exploring, you come across a broom, which it's like, oh, okay, that's my weapon. If you look in like trailers and stuff, it's like, oh, that's my weapon. And in order to get back into where you need to go to meet this character, you have to break stuff. Okay. And I broke some things because I was like, oh, I got to get through it. And then I stopped because I was like, wait a minute. Because they tell you right before, like, oh, they're going to decide if you're good or bad, like to it. I was like, shit, is this a trap? Did they do? And so when I got to it, they look at your life and they're like, oh, you're a very good cat. Cool. You can go to like heaven. And they go, wait a minute. And then they have photos of you like breaking the shit. And they're like, awesome. You go to hell. And it's like, all right, fine. So they get you. But so you're tasked with cleaning up basically the under area. But when you're down there, you find out there's things about, the heaven or whatever they call it. And you meet characters who are all there on their own accord. And you find out their stories and whatnot. I'm playing it and I'm enjoying it, but I'm also not like really into it. And so I can't sit here and be like, it's one of the best games I've played this year, but it's very good, but it's not like super crazy exciting.
I've had this thought about the Steam Deck that I wonder if, I wonder how big of like is the Steam Deck just a big thing that a lot of people are enthusiastic about and it's popular, or is it something that's going to sort of lightly revolutionize the way games are made to any extent, right? Because I have heard that if your game works on a Steam Deck, it'll sell. It'll sell more than something that is not optimized for the Steam Deck or
Absolutely
doesn't have the green badge for the Steam Deck. Because people that have a Steam Deck desperately want to play games on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And there's some games that I think aren't ever going to be a great fit. Like, sure, you can play Cyberpunk on a Steam Deck, but like for Cyberpunk, I want a giant screen. For those big, giant, expensive games, right? Big titles. You know, when Witcher 4 comes out, I'm going to want to play it on
Switch.
I'm going to want to play it
on the Switch too.
On the
Switch
original.
too, yeah.
No. I want to play it on the Wii U's, controller, not even on the TV.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like there are certain games that I think those settings are better, but there's a ton of stuff on PC, obviously, that I'm perfectly fine playing on the Steam Deck. And I wonder if there are developers out there that when they start putting their game together, part of their goal is, okay, and we're going to get this working on the Steam Deck as well. And if that means we have to not aim for certain fidelity goals or whatever, then so be it, because when it comes out, it'll launch on the Steam Deck and people will really care about that, and no one will be complaining that it doesn't look as good as other games because we, I don't know. But we haven't seen that happen with the Switch, right? But that's
really.
that's a separate console.
Yeah.
And Switch is disconnected from like Steam and stuff. So I don't know. I wonder if that and anything that comes to Steam technically can be played on a Steam Deck, right?
Yes.
Whereas when a game releases, you have to port it to Switch, or you have to make it for the Switch. Where if you make a game for PC, you can, and it's on Steam, you can download it to a Steam Deck. So it's like I do wonder how that will change things.
Yeah.
But it's just a thought, and maybe it doesn't change things at all.
I think there's a huge fan of like developers who kind of have varying thought processes of what they want to do for all of their audiences. And I think it's easy enough. CD Projekt Red is a great example because obviously The Witcher is extremely is demanding. It's not extremely demanding, not as much as like Cyberpunk, but it's demanding. But they immediately, when Steam Deck came out, decided to go back. They went back and they were like, yeah, here is, we created a Steam Deck update to recognize you have a Steam Deck to play the best way you can. But there are, once again, games that come out that they kind of, the developers kind of just like leave it to the community to figure out which settings are best. And that's why you have, I forgot which, the Proton site, that everybody comes together and these are the settings you need to get it running good, on this or whatnot. And yeah, there's just some games that just don't play, but there's others that get brute forced their way into working on a Steam Deck. But I don't think that it slowed down anybody. It may have caused some annoyances, and it does cause annoyances when I sell things, because I did have somebody ask about a Steam Deck and I had mine with me, so I explained to them everything, and I had to go through the like, green check mark means good, yellow check mark most of the time means it's good. There's just some stupid thing that doesn't, like,
small text.
You need to use
them. Be pretty miscellaneous,
right? Very miscellaneous. And then like question mark is, it probably does work. You just need to find the right settings, and that's and I had to get into like, you got to find the community that is working on that to kind of, but if somebody wants to go through with that, then they can. But by and large, Steam Deck already is a device that kind of just works. So
it does.
I mean, so it's good.
It's kind of surprising.
So it's good enough. Thank you.
I was looking for it.
Yeah.
I will say that in my experience with my deck, I have had to fix things and flip over to the desktop mode and figure things out. So it's not been like a completely seamless experience. But but it's also just a handheld computer, and that's what you have to do with computers sometimes. So, and the other thing about the Steam Deck that I don't think like the Asus ROG Ally has or whatever is it is connected to Steam, right?
Yeah.
And with Steam, you have community and you have people and you have chat and forums all built in already, right? So it's like if you have a question, chances are somebody on Steam has already asked that question, right?
Yeah.
And so you will be able to go in and find people, or like Steam database, or I think it's SteamDB, and maybe something else.
I think,
but the
you're
website
right, yeah.
where people like will try out games, the games get rated for their compatibility with Steam, and then the joke is, everyone try Proton Experimental. Like one of my favorite posts of all time was a guy on the Steam Deck subreddit. A guy accidentally left his Steam Deck on the oven while the oven was on. And he left or something, not knowing the oven was on, came back, it just burnt a hole in his Steam Deck. And so he just took a picture of it. It was like, pro tip, don't put your deck on the oven. And the top comment was just, try Proton Experimental, because everyone's, But anyway, so that's the other thing that I think benefits the Steam Deck is that all those social features are sort of already built in. We could talk about Steam's problems with moderation, but as far as like troubleshooting and people posting answers and forums and stuff like that, and developers being able to communicate, I think the Steam Deck does all of that excellently. Connor,
yes,
what have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Peglin.
Oh yeah, I have that on my wish list. It looks cool.
It's fun.
Peglin?
Yeah, so you play as a little goblin. The game Peggle?
Yeah.
So it's a roguelike Peggle.
Okay.
It is ridiculously fun and cute. And I feel bad every time I fail a run because my cute little goblin has to die.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
That's it. Yeah, that one and what I was looking at it just now, the pinball one. Sorry, I'm gonna find it.
Very good.
I wonder if Peglin looks like a game.
Ballionaire.
Oh, Ballionaire.
Yeah, that one was like had the similar type of vibe.
Sorry, I was going to say Peglin looks like a game that probably runs fine on a Steam Deck.
100%.
But okay, so what do you do? Because it looks like you.
So it's a roguelike.
Sure.
So whatever you do in a roguelike, but each of the little pegs is worth like X amount of like damage, and enemies will come at you when you go to like the little roguelike rooms, or an event happens, or treasure chest, whatever, all the fun stuff from roguelikes. And you just clear out the room, go to the next room, clear out the room, go to the next room. Building upgrades, not building upgrades, getting upgrades from treasure chests, getting gold to upgrade your balls that you shoot out on the pegboard. Different balls have different abilities. Your normal pebble balls just do damage, and if they do a little bit more damage. Then there's like a dagger, which doesn't do a lot of damage base, but if you get the crit, if you hit the little crit peg, you do a lot more damage because it's a really powerful crit.
Damn.
And I got into a really good run. The bosses will be challenging all the time. I got into a really good run where when I had a bunch of just normal pebble balls, but I had a couple. They're called Orbalisk. It's all something ball or orb, just for the theme. But these Orbalisk balls, improve the damage of your pebble balls.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of pebble balls. I had some Orbalisk balls, boosting those damages. With my items, they were boosting the damage of all of my balls by like 1 or 2. Then I had some that like every third peg I hit, it would just shoot off the ball in a random direction. And then every X amount, the ball would split.
Okay.
And there's pegs that refresh the board. So all the pegs get back in. So I launch it and it starts ricocheting around. It splits. It hits a refresh. Now all the pegs are back in place. So they instantly hit, start ricocheting around, split again. They just start exploding out, or they drop down to the bottom to where like the ball run ends. And you deal the damage. and you do it again.
Oh wow, that sounds really fun.
It is very fun.
Huh.
It's on sale right now.
Yeah, because it's the Steam Winter
Steam
Sale.
Winter Sale.
Yeah.
I think you stressed Richard out.
He didn't stress me out, but there's a turning point in games at one point, and that was when they decided that a match 3 puzzle game should also be like an attack game, and it was called Puzzle Quest, and that was like a revelation. And now this is like, oh yeah, you made like an RPG out of fucking Peggle, and now I'm like, god damn it, because I just bought Peggle on Steam Deck because they had like Zuma, Peggle, Plants vs. Zombies, and like 2 other games for $5, like a EA like bundle, like the OG ones. And I was like, yeah, sure, all right. And
Okay, but fun.
The events in the game, like the random events, are hilarious. One is a goblin that you run into that's a gambler, and you can either invest in what he's doing, or you can have him flip his coin. Heads, you take 2 damage. If it lands on tails, you get the coin. What it does is it creates gambling, because now the bottom of the screen where the balls fall through, they'll have different multipliers,
like Plinko,
but they change each shoot. They change each shot. There's another item you can get to where one of the it changes each go, but one of the slots at the bottom is a teleporter to the top that triples your triples your damage. So, I always gamble when I find him and inevitably lose like 30 health on a 50-50 coin flip.
I'm gonna have to check this out. This sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've lost several hours now just going through, starting a bad run, getting to the boss, and be like, I can't beat this boss. I don't have the health for it. I don't have the damage for it. I don't have the balls for it. So I just restart the run.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the kind of thing the Steam Deck is just perfectly suited for. Balatro, whatnot. But okay, awesome.
Balatro, by the way.
Balatro?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that's how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
Since when?
I saw an IGN thing, and they're like, actually, it's pronounced Balatro. And I was like, oh shit.
Really?
So, yeah.
That means everybody has been getting it wrong for like.
Yeah, it was like an IGN interview or something.
Oh, interesting.
It's like Balatro.
Yeah, right.
Balatro.
Right.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Which, by the way, I dropped that game so hard.
Really?
Like I finished the first like anti set, like the first 8, and I was like, cool, and that's it. I've never had the urge again to
plot Eglin.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I know that like there's more to it after that.
There is,
but I was just like, I get it.
No, yeah, I don't blame you.
And it's good. It's really good, but.
Yeah, I've gotten frustrated with it a couple times because it's just, I don't know. I think like some of the jokers are just useless. This Joker buffs 9s. It's like, who cares? No one. I don't need.
Give me the
this.
one that buffs 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s.
Yeah, it's like I don't need. It's like this, but this Joker plus 2 multiplier when you score a 9. Oh, great! This Joker over here plus 1,000,000 multiplayer when you score a face card. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that one. Thank you very much. I don't need this 9 bullshit. But
and then you keep buying face cards in the thing.
Yes,
and
exactly. And then that's how you win. Is you buy all those Jokers, Queens, and Kings. That's how you win.
Jack's King. The Joker.
Oh yeah, Jack. Sorry.
You call yourself a gamer.
What have I? Did I already talk about what I've?
That really sucks about that Aliens game, by the way, because that sounds like a Jurassic Park Aftermath.
Yeah.
Is it called Aftermath?
Yes, but the Jurassic Park game is a run and hide.
Right. But I remember when you reviewed it, that was when you're like, wait a minute, this is a part 1. Like they didn't tell anybody it was a part 1 until like Jurassic right Park before 1. It launched. Yeah.
And I never went back to that one. So sorry to Meta for not getting back to the review code on that.
I don't think they care.
But no, I don't think they care either. They should, if they're offended by that, just wait till they learn what their CEO does all the time. But yeah, it is too bad because Alien is one of those things that it seems like perfect in VR. And it is like it's a perfect thing for VR. The thing that frustrates me most about a lot of VR games is they're not bad because of VR. They're just bad because they're designed in a weird way, or like Metro Awakening was a narrative based game. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well that's fine, but you can have you can have a narrative in a VR game, but are you really taking advantage of VR at that point? Because I didn't think it did. So it's like, what are you doing that's taking advantage of VR or making VR exciting? And I didn't think Metro Awakening did a whole lot. So it's like, okay, well, and that's why I said in my review, I was like, I respect the game, the type of game it wants to be and the goals that it sets, but it's just not, I don't know, this might as well just be a little Metro spinoff, I guess. Because it would, I don't know, the combat's not all that complicated or anything, but anyway, we're not going to relitigate all that. Okay, we'll hit the news.
You know what you need, Tyler? You need to be a little pixel art goblin throwing balls around.
You know what?
Just slinging them.
Just maybe hit the news. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server.
I was pulling the ears, so I didn't quite hear.
Okay, so we're going to recap the Game Awards here. There was a lot of announcements, a lot of awards. A lot of people were saying that it was probably the best Game Awards show that we've had, maybe ever, if not in a long time. From the Game Awards that I have seen, it was definitely better than last year. But even then, I think it was probably like the smoothest and best like ran Game Awards that I can think of. But a real quick recap here: Amir Satvant, a data analyst, won the Game Changer Award. Amir built a community to help game developers find jobs, especially during the past few years where the industry has suffered so many layoffs and things like that. Best performance went to Melina Jurgens or Senua in Hellblade 2. I have not finished Hellblade 2, but I can tell you right now that her performance in Hellblade 2 is just as outstanding, and the character is a bit different, which makes her performance a bit different because she is a different person in that one. Best art direction and narrative, Metaphor Refantasio. Best ongoing game was Helldivers 2.
Rad.
The player's voice was Black Myth Wukong. And then Game of the Year, Game Direction, Action Adventure, and Family Game
Swept.
all went to
Astro Boss Wii, baby.
Astro Bot. Some announcements: Ninja Gaiden Rage Bound, Summer 2025. Elden Ring Night Rain, 3-player co-op. That's also coming out next year. Outer Worlds 2 next year. Borderlands 4 next year. Slay the Spire 2 will enter early access next year. Really big announcements. The Okami sequel is in development. We didn't get a release date on that. There's a new Gen Design game. One of the lead developer behind Gen Design is the lead developer behind Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, and
Last Guardian.
Thank you. The Last Guardian. Witcher 4 got the announcement trailer. I don't expect to see Witcher 4. I'm not even joking. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Witcher 4 until 2028. Like, I think it's a long way.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Like, we're in the middle of a console generation. Anyway,
I'm gonna say 2027.
$1.
Whoa.
December 31st, 2027.
11:59 p.m.
A real quick random sidebar here. I think I come up with ideas for like bad. I think you should leave sketches all the time. And one of my ideas is Tim Robinson is at a like
Price is Right,
and he's guessing the prices, but he just, for some reason, he always guesses prices horribly, like just way out of proportion. And then whenever he gets it wrong, he just does this Tim Robinson freak out. Ah, shit! Like, anyway, sorry. That's just, you can kind of see it in your mind, right? Yeah. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Wait.
Yeah, exactly. Why no? Like, he's trying to change his, I didn't give you the right price. Like, you can see it, right?
Flipping out, somebody doing $1 over. And
exactly.
What?
That everyone else is having like a good time, and he's like sweating, and like his eyes are all swollen.
Get Drew Carey in there too.
Yeah, like I think this could be a real thing. Anyway, I'll write it in, Tim, if you're out there. Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet is Naughty Dog's new IP
woke game,
and we don't know when we're going to see that. Okay,
here.
so yeah, let's break down thoughts on trailers, thoughts on the show, thoughts on awards.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think? It's been a couple weeks.
Every Game Awards needs more Joseph Ferris yelling at EA.
Yeah,
That's all.
absolutely. and that dude is so entertaining. Like, he is so entertaining, and I really loved his appearance this time around. Split Fiction looks incredible as well. The game looks really awesome. I had a hell of a time watching the Game Awards this year because I had a lot of surprises, particularly Sega and who's the other one? Sega and Capcom. Like, we're knocking it out of the park, and it's not on here, and I understand, but Onimusha was a really huge get. Onimusha Way of the Sword is a really huge get as an announcement, because I've been waiting for another one of those.
And the new Virtua Fighter, too.
New Virtua Fighter, yes.
Seems like something that's right up your alley.
Yeah, very technical fighting game. Very rewarding if you let it be, because it's really simple. It's simple. I hate the phrase, but, you know, easy to play,
easy
hard
to
to
learn,
master, you know. Yeah. Because it's all about, there's no, one of the things that they said about Virtua Fighter, it was a couple months ago, one of the like lead Sega guys was just like, well, we don't know what to do to make it stand out like against everybody. Because Virtua Fighter is literally just person on person. There's no special moves. There's no fireballs, no nothing. It's just like kind of just one-on-one and encounters and stuff like that. So, but I guess they're doing it. So Ryuga Gotoku is doing it, the Yakuza studio.
This is the time to have really stripped down like games that are just really good at their core, that do just the fundamental of the game really well, because that's been happening. Yeah. And they've been doing really good.
And I think I think you're really correct on that, because there's a lot of stuff that is kind of not just recently, but there are people yearning for simpler.
Everything's gotten too deep.
Yes. Yeah.
Now it's time to come back to the surface, take a breath.
Very excited about Project Century. We won't see that for a while. Which is the other,
Century.
Yeah, it's gonna early century, but taking place in early 1920 or 1900s Japan. It's really cool setting. Okami is incredible. That was an incredible announcement.
I need to play the first one now.
It's very good, $5 right now. But it was PlayStation 2 Zelda, like 1-to-1, 100%. And then I hope you can get over that. I think they're endearing, but they do the little, when characters talk, they do the Banjo-Kazooie thing.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
So, all right, cool, great. Wonderful music too, but that one is, I'll give the history on it. Fine, you twisted my arm.
Are you sure, Richard? Are you sure?
No. But it was a big deal from like Keeley talked it up, but it was a big deal because it's like if Kojima went back to Konami. Like that's basically what it is. Like Okami was made by Clover Studio, which was Hideki Kamiya and Shinji Mikami. They made 5 games that were all really good. Beautiful Joe 1 and 2. God Hand, Okami, and then a couple other Beautiful Joes. And then Capcom was like, you're done. They left to go make Platinum games. And then, like, now they're back. Like, now they're back doing the thing that everybody loves them for. So it was a really, really huge deal. So that's awesome. I loved almost everything I saw on there, except for some of the weird one-offs. I couldn't care less about Game of Thrones.
That's a mobile game.
So is it?
Yeah,
I missed that. So I mean, I
didn't know it, and I didn't know Game of Thrones is one of those IPs that is just I'm so disinterested in it.
Yeah,
because it's just how poorly the show ended. It's just, and it has all the makings for like a video game setting. Back when Game of Thrones was at its height, I thought like a Souls-like, where you play as a Knight of the Watch and you have to travel out beyond. Like I thought that'd be such a cool idea for a Souls-like. But since the show has ended and like the cultural
hype for it is just
like weight of Game of Thrones has just tanked. I'm just not all that interested. But yeah, that's also a mobile game, so they I think it's going to be. I want to say I read it's going to be like a Clash of Clans type thing. That might be totally wrong, but I mean, again, So it's like, I'm totally with you there.
But sorry to interject, but bringing up the like Souls-like thing, that's a real quick about Onimusha. Is kind of that bittersweet thing. I'm extremely excited about a new Onimusha, but Onimusha originally was a Resident Evil like game.
Oh, interesting.
So it was Resident Evil, but you were a samurai. Like camera angles were the same. The action was not like as hack and slash. It was a little slower, but you did, based yourself around sucking up those souls to like level up. But as time has gone on and new genres have arrived, the way you operate your character in the original Onimusha games unfortunately lends itself all too well to a Souls-like game.
Okay.
So the way that they showed the game play, quote unquote, in the trailer makes it seem like it may just be a Capcom's first Souls-like game.
Oh, okay.
Which I am begrudgingly fine with. If they make it a little more like the Resident Evil style, to where it's like you don't have to focus too much on all of that, I think I'll be fine with it. But you know, it does lend itself very well to that formula.
I think one of the big evolutions with the Souls-like formula is going to come with sort of a semi-difficulty scaling. Like, for example, in the Star Wars Jedi games, like the Jedi games are Souls-likes, but the difficulty is nowhere near that of Elden Ring, right? And because I think it may even have difficulty settings. So because of that, it's more accessible, it's more easily played. So you can have the depth of the combat and the lengthy enemy encounters and the dense enemy encounters and all that. But if you just sort of supplement that with a more player-friendly difficulty structure, then I think you can sort of build from there. So Rise of the Ronin's the same way, where it's technically like a Souls-like merged with sort of an action open world. So it's like messing with that structure and finding ways. I think that's where the evolution will take place, and maybe it already has in some ways. So yeah, but I would kind of agree. It would be a little bit of a turnoff to know, because I can only, like right now, I'm still playing through Black Myth Wukong, and it's like I have to be in the mood for a Souls-like.
Yeah, I can
I'm
understand.
out of the mood and stuff,
Yeah.
I just don't want to deal with it. So yeah, I have to sort of, be in the mood for it. And so when a game comes out that is a Souls-like and I'm not in the mood, it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll play that one day, maybe not, I don't know. Yeah, as I was saying while I was breaking down the announcements and stuff, I would not expect Witcher 4 for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm like, honestly, if it's 2028, even 2029, like we're talking 2025 next year, that's only 4 years. That seems like a long time, but development wise, we also know that they're doing a Witcher remake.
Yes.
So maybe,
which already was being worked on, I think.
So like maybe in the interim they hit that up, but yeah, especially, and right now we are in the midlife of the console generation, right?
What we perceive to be that, yes.
Now, who knows what's going to happen with the next generation of consoles, because of Microsoft every 30 seconds is like talking about, we're not going to have consoles. I mean, they don't say that, but I mean, sometimes it sounds like they're saying that. And PlayStation's trying to find itself, like it just, I don't know, went on vacation to Europe or something, and it's like trying without a paddle, and it's like drinking ayahuasca and trying to figure itself out. And and Nintendo's obviously Nintendo. So the point I'm making here is that it's like we don't know what the future holds for the next two big consoles. So I would be surprised if The Witcher 4 comes out and it's not, if not super late in this console cycle, it doesn't at least launch alongside the next consoles or something. I don't know. Just because, I don't know, I would just be surprised if Witcher 4 came out.
Are you surprised by sorry, hold on. I'm going to try to frame this correct way.
Go ahead. I'm going to take a drink of water.
Ignoring the obvious stupid replies, do you have any sort of what's your viewpoint on how Siri looks?
So no, I agree. It was kind of weird because I didn't know it was Siri.
Really?
I thought it was somebody else.
That's weird. I was like, oh shit, it's Siri. And it's like, I had no
It's not that I thought she looked bad. I just thought she looked like a different
The Witcher has three women. A woman with black hair, a woman with red hair, and a woman with white hair. All right, come on.
No,
there's other characters.
I guess I don't know, maybe you too, Connor, but I am kind of puzzled by everybody was like, I wasn't sure if it was Siri now. And it's like, well, that's obviously Siri.
I was in that boat too, but I don't have any problem with the way maybe it's just because she was older.
I mean, I do think she looks old, but I don't think she looks that much older.
And she had like a big jacket on, so it was kind of like, different or whatever. But
I saw,
and her voice was a bit different. You didn't hear her voice a ton in the trailer, but a different voice actors.
Yes, she is.
Different actress for Witcher 4. So
I ended up actually seeing some of the Discourse, and someone did point out that like they overlaid the faces on top of each other, and it's almost one for one.
Yeah,
like there's slight changes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But it's almost one for one.
Maybe it's
they like lined the jaws and stuff like that.
I have no idea why. It's just a weird thing. I didn't think it was Siri at first, and it wasn't until Jeff was like, "And yes, you will be playing as Siri," just to like set it into motion. Mm-hmm. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever, I'm fine." Like, okay, just a weird momentary slip up there. That
call yourself a gamer.
That's gonna be interesting because Siri's not a Witcher, so they're gonna have to figure out like how to work that in creatively. Because she clearly drinks a potion in the game. Mm-hmm. Now she also is imbued with like super duper magic powers. So I don't know, you can write something in that way. Maybe they just write around it to make it easier to facilitate that like sort of Witcher structure. But I kind of want them to leave Geralt alone because the ending of his story at the end of Blood and Wine is just so perfect at the end of Blood and Wine. He kind of finally finds peace in a way and stuff like that. So it's like leave the past and allow Ciri to have her own adventure, and go forward.
I had this will come around full circle, I promise. But when Assassin's Creed Unity was coming out, I was working at GameStop, and my coworker is a huge Assassin's Creed fan, and he was complaining about the fact that it would be co-op. Because in his opinion, Assassin's Creed didn't need to be co-op, and it wasn't like a co-op game. Because you didn't need to be a co-op, you were a lone assassin. But it was kind of funny because it was like, oh, did you completely miss the first mission of Assassin's Creed when you were with like 3 other assassins, chilling out, And I'm sorry, Witcher 3 is kind of the same because it's like, did everybody miss when he was training Ciri to be a Witcher, like right at the start?
Did everyone miss all the foreshadowing?
Yeah, yes.
Like the future.
Well, yes, she knows all the combat, but the thing is, Witchers are also biological mutants, and that's what allows them to drink the potions that makes their like. If a human drinks black blood, it's just gonna kill them instantly. Yeah, but Geralt can drink it because of the trial of grasses
that they went through
mutations. So all I'm saying is if 5 minutes into The Witcher it's like, oh, you did the spell and it made you could drink black blood, it's like, okay, fine, like
does she have like older like
and that's the thing is she has super duper magic powers. So I'm saying is I'm interested to see how they write around that.
Human.
I'm not like up in arms. I'm not going nuts because it's like she didn't train like Luke on Dagobah. Like I'm not going fucking.
You wanna go?
Like I'm not. So don't worry. I'm not.
No, I'm not saying you are.
No, I know you are saying.
Oh my god.
What did we think of? Yeah, what do we think awards wise? I either Black Myth or Astrobot winning, I thought was sort of the way to go. I'm really happy Astrobot won, and I'm happy for a couple different reasons. I think they mentioned it. The guy that received the award on behalf of the studio, because I don't think he was a guy that worked at the studio. I forget the story. Maybe he was.
I can't recall who he was. I mean, I know remember him, but I don't know his position
French,
or anything.
I think, but the studio was in Japan.
Yes.
But anyway, also Mark Cerny had like a big smile on his face, so good for him. But I think it's nice to see a game like Astrobot win Game of the Year, because I don't know, Game of the Year is an award that has certain biases to it. Games have to be like, we'll throw a bone to Balatro, we'll throw a bone to Celeste, but do they really have a chance at winning? I don't know. It Takes Two won.
Yeah.
So maybe like smaller games can win, but it's like the big expensive games are always going to win. Big action games are always going to be tough to beat when you have some silly little platformer, Yeah. But what I think it does is we're able to look at Astrobot and talk about it in a way that's not super reductive. Like, well, in Wukong, here's all the different spells and attacks you have. In an Astrobot, you just spin in a circle. But it's like, but there's a lot more to Astrobot. The design of the levels, just how perfect the level design is. Every single level is perfectly paced, so much fun. There's so much like design and pacing just jam-packed into what is essentially a 2-minute long like jumping puzzle.
Yeah. And the consistency of it all as well is something to
and then
be impressed by.
How it mashes, how it lends you that nostalgia, which in today's day and age, and we had this discussion, can be pandering. It can be empty. The multiversus version of nostalgia is empty. That's marketing. That's David Zaslav and his denture smile, right? Fakeness. But
that fucker.
But I think the nostalgia in Astrobot is sincere. When you see Mr. Mosquito, it's like it's not there because it's an opportunity for Mr. Mosquito branding to synergize with the brand. It's like, hey, remember this game you saw when you were a kid? Here's a little fun Easter egg. Okay, see you later.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, then you don't know. So it's like there's a sincerity about it. And so how it did that and how it respected that history, I think was really neat. But also, I'm glad a game like Astrobot can win, because I think it does lend a certain sense of legitimacy to the award. I remember when Peter Jackson won Best Picture for one of the Lord of the Rings. And his speech at the Academy Awards, he said something like, I appreciate you looking past the wizards and the orcs and the spells and the magic, right? Now, I think I've always taken that speech as to say that these things that are not associated with like high art, right? Yeah. People saw that maybe that was an attitude that was kind of persnippety and wrong, and that those things can be high art. Those things can be like worthwhile endeavors and real cinematic treasure and stuff like that. And yeah, when you look back on the Lord of the Rings movies, they're masterpieces. So it's like with Astrobot, old styles of games like platformers, not only do they still have, here we are 40 years after Mario, and platformers are still evolving. People are still finding creative things to do, but they can be good enough to win Game of the Year. And I don't know, to me that's like a hopeful, positive message about games. Game of the Year is an incredibly flawed idea. I don't think we like it. But at the same time, if it's going to exist, I'm glad that a game like Astrobot has a chance at winning and can win, right? I'm not sure if any of that makes sense, but
it did.
Yeah, all of it makes sense. And I think that a job when you create, or when you start talking about Game of the Year, your job is to kind of look at all aspects of the game. And Astrobot's thing that it had going for is that it's a game for everyone. Black Myth Wukong is not a game for everybody. And then when you move on from like that aspect, it's like, okay, well, what about the technical aspect of it? And we've already talked about the Astrobot technical aspect, like all of the like moving parts of that game. How mentally satisfying it was at the end of that that desert level where all of the gold drops down and you just run around and all of the particles and everything are just kind of like it's very impressive.
And you can feel it all on the controller. Yeah.
And then you look at Black Myth Wukong, and I still haven't played it, but I have heard from people, I don't know if, and you might be able to like corroborate, but it's like there's invisible walls all over the place. Like you can't get past things. Like there's the illusion of grandeur instead of like, it's kind of like, no, look here, instead of kind of like,
you're not wrong. Black Myth Wukong, I think, suffers from a lot of, I think maybe the team just had to cut off paths because they didn't have time, so they just sort of or they didn't really know how to make a section of a level look natural. So it's like, and there's plenty of times in Black Myth where I turn and I think there's a path, and then I just end up hitting an invisible wall. It's not a big deal. But there's a ton of awesome art direction in Black Myth Wukong.
I've seen a lot of it.
So like some of the boss fights are insane. It is like, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing game. And if it won Game of the Year, it won Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards. So it's like, I'm totally fine with that. Whatever.
Right. And
but I think people, like if a game has an in-depth combat system that I think people think, well, that is somehow more worthwhile because it's more complicated. And I just don't think that's true.
Yeah.
Game development is so sprawling and has so many different arts and what's the term I'm looking for? Arts and disciplines that it's like, I don't know. It is cool to have a really in-depth and technical and difficult combat system like Wukong. That's great. But also like, look at this awesome fucking level where you hit a button and it goes from night to day and, you know, or over here where you can slow down. There's an enemy in Astrobot. One of the coolest things ever. There's an enemy in Astrobot that is a deck of cards and it tosses cards at you and you have to like dodge the cards. I'm not sure if you've seen this.
Yes, yeah.
So one of your abilities is to slow down time. The little Astrobot puts on a VR headset and slows down time. So the way you defeat this enemy is you wait until this enemy tosses cards at you, you slow down time, you jump on top of the cards, and you punch the guy in the face. Like, it's such a cool idea for dealing with an enemy.
Yeah,
and, like, figuring that out is like, oh, that's so neat that they did that, you know? And that little moment happens 1,000 times across the entire game.
It does.
So it's like, yeah, in-depth combat systems are cool. But so is, like, you know, little 20 seconds of like mind-blowing design that happens over and over again that a little team in, you know, team of 60 or 70 people in Japan did. So yeah. And I think we've said this too. I think Sony has like a new IP. Like, I want an Astrobot 2.
Sure.
Like, give me more. Do more levels.
Sucks that VR isn't backwards compatible because you should play the original Astrobot.
That does really suck.
Really good.
I don't totally understand why still. Maybe it has to do with the controllers. I don't know. Or the tracking. I don't know. But that does really suck.
I do. So overall, just with all the awards, everything that won, I don't think there was really anything that I was like, nah, it doesn't work. Or it doesn't, you know, that shouldn't have won. Or that shouldn't have, like, I think everything kind of went as smooth as it could for the most part.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like the sports section.
Yeah, because I don't know how College Football 25.
Right, exactly.
The best sports game is already kind of a joke anyway.
Yeah.
But like, I just don't know how you don't have College Football 25
It's
on there.
so weird.
It's one of the best selling game. Maybe it might be the best selling game this year. I don't know.
I'm sure
it's going to be up there.
Yeah, we'll talk to Matt. I'll call Matt.
Yeah, we'll get Matty Geist on the phone. But like, I don't understand how you don't have College Football 25 up there for consideration.
Well, it's because their season wasn't that hard.
Hey. You do not get the 12th spot in the video game playoff. That's what we should do. We shouldn't. Hold on. My mind is bouncing all over the place. Okay, do we have any other thoughts on any of these other announcements? Outer Worlds 2 looks cool.
Looks great.
Really excited for that one.
I hope they learn from the first game. Not that I had like a biggest problem with the first game. I enjoyed it, but if there's room for improvement, I hope that they make it for Outer Worlds.
I think early on the pacing was a bit rushed, but
sure.
Yeah. I love Obsidian's games. They're always so just phenomenally well written. Yeah. The worlds are so dense and so funny. I was talking with my wife the other day, and I was like, if you were to pick a developer to follow up to make Baldur's Gate 4, who would you pick? She asked me that. And I was like, I would hate to be the person that had to follow up Baldur's Gate 4. It's like following up Empire Strikes Back or something.
My number one pick, Larian Studio.
Yeah, but I was like, outside Larian, I would go with Obsidian because it's like so many of their RPGs over the years. Like, get Josh Sawyer in a room, get whoever else at Obsidian, put together an awesome story.
I think they could make a really good like Castle Ravenloft. Anything with like more darker macabre notes, because they're Obsidian's dark humor always.
Yeah, and I like that in the trailer for Outer Worlds 2, they were like, from the developers of KOTOR 2.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? Neverwinter Nights 2. And it's like Fallout, New Vegas. And of course, in everyone's mind is like Fallout, the best one. You know, so like they were trying to be self-deprecating, but at the same time, everyone watching is like, you made the best Fallout. It's okay. You don't have to be, you know, I know you're trying to be nice and, you know, trying to be diplomatic here, but you made the fucking best Fallout game that there's been, you know. So anyway, Yeah, what did we think of Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet? I thought that looked neat. Obviously, it's it's another game that's going to be out. I'm glad Naughty Dog is doing something other than Uncharted. Yeah, did we have thoughts on that trailer or on the?
Lots of style. Yeah, I kind of already I got the gist of the like product placements. Like a lot of people were bothered by it, but I was like, no, I told like 1980s, capitalism, hyper, like,
Sure, yeah.
like that's what like I immediately was, or at least I felt like that's what they were going for, like the height of overindulgence on products, like, and lo and behold, apparently the backstory is that space travel was invented way sooner. So tech is like kind of stuck in the 1980s or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, like that's apparently how it was. But I'm interested. I'm interested.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I can say right now. The trailer was very, very cool. Very eye grabby, especially for somebody who likes sci-fi, cyberpunk. I guess cyberpunk. I guess we can call it that. I guess it is cyberpunk, right? Blade Runner, Fifth Element-esque.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I'm glad they're not doing Uncharted because they need to just leave Nathan Drake alone.
Let him retire.
His story ended perfectly, unless you're remaking the first one.
These are the times where I'm so disappointed in how Ready at Dawn's story went. The studio, the development studio, Ready at Dawn, because Ready at Dawn seemed to be the studio that would be able to pick up the slack where Naughty Dog couldn't. Does that make sense? Because they did Uncharted on the Vita, which was very good.
Oh, I always forget. I need to play that.
They did
Golden Abyss.
Yeah, Golden Abyss. Yeah, they did Uncharted on the Vita, which was very good. They did Daxter, which is Jak and Daxter, which was really good. They did obviously they did The Order 1886, which in it of itself was very good despite its shortcomings.
And it did have kind of Naughty Dog vibes about it because of the way that the game was and stuff.
So if ever there needed to be another Uncharted, like Ready at Dawn could do it, you know, or they did all the God of Wars on PSP, like, which were all really good. And so, yeah, it's just disappointed they got bought by Meta and then dissolved. But I am, yes, happy that Naughty Dog is trying something out of their wheelhouse, I guess, that we've seen from them.
Yeah. But yeah, leave Nathan Drake alone. I don't know where you go with Last of Us. Now that Last of Us is sort of a cultural thing, like the show was super popular and season 2 is going to come out soon. So all of a sudden it's going from this property where it was like, if you play games, you know what it is, to now it's one of the more like, it's a super like popular HBO show. So what do you do from there? That I don't know if that spurs them into figuring out what they're going to do for part 3 or whatever. And maybe there's more you could do there.
The problem is consumerism doesn't know when to say I'm good.
Well, it demands that,
because I don't think Last of Us. I think Last of Us is fine now. Like I don't think there needs to be another Last of Us. I don't think there needs to be any more stretching of these characters or this world. And leave it and we're done. But money and interest begs that there be another be another one. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, is that all we have to say?
I feel like there's something missing. Nope.
Okay.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to get into what Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, said at their big investors conference just a couple days ago. This was first spotted by Stephen Totillo, who I think reported on it first, and a lot of other places picked it up. I think it's just because Stephen just watches investor conferences because he's a nerd, and I respect that. But anyway, so Nadella was asked about how he feels regarding the early returns for the Activision Blizzard King acquisition, and he said, quote, "I'm feeling very, very good about where we are in gaming. In fact, right now, this is like the peak season for gaming, obviously with the new Call of Duty, and it's been fantastic to see the launch and the marketing around it, the buzz around it, and the love for gaming. And so we said, let's take that joy of gaming everywhere. And that's why even these ads with Xbox now, where we are redefining what it means to be an Xbox fan. It's about being able to enjoy Xbox on all your devices. So our strategy with Activision content now is in full force. We feel fantastic about the progress we've made. And more importantly, I think long-term as a company, we can bring the best of AI innovation, cloud innovation, console innovation, PC innovation to build the best games that can be enjoyed by gamers everywhere. I didn't have a ton to say about this, but I did find it interesting, and this is something that Tom Warren pointed out. If you go to the transcript of the investors and you search AI, you find it like a gajillion times. If you search like gaming or Xbox, you maybe find it like 15 times. Like Microsoft's big thing right now, and the tech industry's big thing right now is AI.
Yeah.
Figuring out what the hell to do with AI.
Yeah.
There may be things to do with it. Are the things that they can do with it really warranting the amount of investment it's getting? Probably not. But that's the thing that's driving so much investment. So that's the thing that they're worried about. And I'm curious if this sort of like Activision Blizzard King move hasn't not necessarily been forgotten about, or they don't care about it. That's impossible. There was a shit ton of money, but it's not necessarily a big priority. I don't know. Does that make sense when we're talking about like Microsoft as a company, because of how focused they are on AI? It's just something Tom Warren pointed out. And then when I went through the investors, I was like, oh yeah, he's right. Even here, it's like Nadella jackhammers in AI innovation into talking about Xbox. And then I also had this thought, because Phil Spencer talks about growth. We've talked about what does growth mean, define growth. And I think there are two distinctions here, because Phil Spencer talks about a plateauing market. Consoles are not a growing games market, so we have to find people. So the impetus for the Xbox everywhere is finding other markets, because consoles aren't a growing market. Nadella's words here are all more like, we're spreading Xbox everywhere because it was just something we wanted to do, right? So there's a distinction there. There's like two ways of looking at it. It's Microsoft is going Xbox everywhere because the console market isn't growing, or Microsoft is spreading Xbox everywhere because they wanted to. Now, maybe the answer is both. They wanted to do both, and that could be the answer. But I think that distinction is interesting, and it's important because it could speak to sort of not necessarily an ulterior motive, but I don't know, attitudes that may reveal sort of a deeper understanding of what Microsoft is doing. Like, one thing that I've always wanted to ask Phil Spencer is, okay, so you're searching for new markets, right? People with people you want them to play on their phones, whatever. Okay, so the next Halo game comes out. Big Halo game, expensive. All right. So what kind of do you think by getting xCloud on a phone and having it fully playable or whatever, or on a tablet, you're going to reach an audience who wouldn't have played Halo before, but now they will because they can stream it to their phone? Or are you just reaching the audience of people who would have played Halo anyway, but they may play it on their phone as an option? Does that make sense? Because, like, are you really reaching a new market by making Game Pass like more accessible on phones and xCloud and stuff like that? Yeah. Or are you just giving little options for people that are already playing your games? Because the people that play Candy Crush are just going to keep playing Candy Crush. I don't think you're going to convince them to suddenly get into Halo with the next big Halo release, right? Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. You may put the roads there, but it doesn't mean that anybody's going to drive on it. So I don't know.
You can lead a horse to water.
Yeah, you can lead a horse to water. It doesn't mean, yeah, exactly. So I think that's and so to further sort of define that is, it's like, so how do you expect that what's the reconciliation there? Because if the people playing Candy Crush aren't going to play Halo because they're not interested in it, and the people playing Halo aren't going to play Candy Crush because they're not interested in it, then what is the use of the Xbox Everywhere? Because the people are going to be playing the games that they're playing on the devices that they're playing them anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
and it's tough to get the idea out of the head of like, I want to play an Xbox game. I got to go get an Xbox, like instead of anything else. And you talk about like, the Candy Crush market is already there. So how are you going to get them to play other games? The key is to release those games that are on that platform. Balatro is a good example. Like Balatro is such a hit that people are going to want to play it on their phone and not anywhere else. The point in my head was better than what I'm making it right now.
No. I think you're correct. Because
people are not going to want to play on the other platforms you're advertising unless you make something specifically for that platform.
You are correct. Yeah. So, and it's kind of that conversation with the Steam Deck is now, are developers thinking about how to develop toward the Steam Deck or whatever. But to your point, it's like, to both of our points, a synthesis for our points. How many of those people that are like, I'll get Balatro, because I can play it on my phone, because I have a PC, but I don't have a Steam Deck. So I'll play it from my phone, because it's a game that my 3070, I don't need my 3070 for. However, how many of those people are then going to say, oh, Halo, the new Halo game's coming out, and it looks amazing. Yeah. I want to play that on my phone?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. Now, maybe it's, I'm bored, I'm in an airport. Sure, I'll play a little bit of Halo on my phone, because xCloud is a thing that exists. But it's like, are you going to, people without an Xbox, people that don't own an Xbox console, how many of them are going to go, oh man, you can play an Xbox anywhere. I guess I'll get into gaming through these other devices. Is there a market like that? I don't know. That seems weird to me. It seems like those people would just buy a console because the best experience, I don't know. It'd be like if you, I guess video games really are the best example. It'd be like, if you got into Witcher and you were fine playing it
on the
Switch or something like that. Now, there is a price thing too, right? Switch video games are expensive, but I don't think this is necessarily something where it's like to help people who can't afford consoles. I don't know. I don't think that's the impetus here. So, I think really when it comes down to it, it's Microsoft. It's the growth market. It's not a growth. Satya Nadella called it a secular growth market, which means it doesn't mean that video game consoles are agnostic and don't believe in a religion.
Well, video game consoles don't believe in anything. They're video game consoles.
They're video game consoles.
Don't even believe in themselves.
Are in Jesus. That is the video game console.
There we go. Yeah.
No, it's a market that is growing, right? Video games have ballooned in certain respects, specifically live service gaming and mobile gaming, right? So Microsoft didn't really have live service, didn't really have mobile gaming, so they bought Activision Blizzard King so they could have Candy Crush. Right?
Yeah.
I think it may be that cut and dry, but saying that is boring and it doesn't inspire your core audience of people who want to play Halo and Gears and Forza and are buying expensive consoles and PCs to do it with. Yeah. Right. So maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm also curious, does Microsoft even know what it's going to do with its next console?
No, it doesn't. And that's you talked about, I forgot that there was a third point that I wanted to bring into 2 points you made earlier about what they were possibly doing. And the third point that I wanted to try to make was that they don't know what they're doing. And this Xbox Everywhere, like, this is an Xbox campaign, is just kind of their last Hail Mary to get that last bump of people that they haven't got yet. Because their consoles aren't selling. And they're not selling because you don't have games to play them. And they now bought the biggest developer on earth. But even then, you're making those games available and everything else, which, that's a great chunk of change. But that doesn't mean people are going to buy your console for it. So this is the last thing for them to do to get people interested in their service. And that's all that this is about, which is really probably the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, I don't. So on their games thing, that certainly has a chance of changing itself up. Because you just had Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is phenomenal. Now, did it sell well? I have no idea. Was it super popular? I don't know. I think maybe one thing Xbox needs to figure out is just how to work its branding. When I walk into a Target and I walk down the PlayStation aisle, I see all the new PlayStation games and all that. When I walk down the Xbox aisle, I still see the Halo Infinite Master Chief. And it's like, okay, well, like, what is new? You know, what is the next big thing? Like, for Sony right now, it's Ghost of Yodi, right? That's like their next big thing. That's the next big Sony thing that's going to release. So it's like when Sony has a banner somewhere, it's like you see Jin and Aloy, and after, I don't know what the character's name is, the Yodi Ghost, you'll see her, you know?
Ratchet and Clank, you'll see all these new characters from games that recently came out. When you see a banner ad for Xbox, it's still the Master Chief. The car from Forza.
Yeah, the car from Forza. Maybe a character from Starfield, right? It's like they haven't developed these huge IPs that carry their brand. But that could be changing because Starfield wasn't very good. It sold well, but Indiana Jones was really good. So all of a sudden now you pair the Indiana Jones logo with Xbox and Master Chief.
For 3 months.
Yeah, and you got to try and sell it more somehow, right? And then maybe Avowed comes out, and Avowed is fantastic, and I hope it is. Now all of a sudden you've got another brand. You've got another character, that Avowed skeleton guy. You're like, okay, we have another character we can put up there that is new, that can carry our brand like PlayStation has, right? That can change the tide, because all of a sudden we can associate the things that we associate with PlayStation, having IP, having games, having reasons to buy their console, we can associate then with Xbox.
Right.
But Xbox is so like weird, and they're not disorganized, but they feel like it, because so many of their games are like timed exclusive, like because Indiana Jones is going to come to PlayStation, which is kind of weird. So it's like, I don't know. Obviously, I want everyone to play every game, but from a business standpoint, it doesn't totally make sense, I don't think. So yeah, anyway, I you are correct, but it's something that Xbox, in a year we may look on and say, hey, they've gotten a ton of hits. Doom, the next Doom game is going to come out. Who knows? That may be a huge hit. So all of a sudden, in the next year, you can have Avowed, Atomfall. Those are 2 games that look awesome. And then maybe like Doom, The Dark Ages comes out and it's amazing. You just had Indiana Jones and it's really good. And in a year, if all those games are good to really good, then the narrative is, hey, Xbox, where for a long time it was like they made a game once every generation, like they just had a string of kind of exclusives that were really good. Xbox has games now. That would be the narrative, and that changes things up, Connor.
I was gonna say this seems like it's the culmination of the fallout of their decision with the Xbox One of like defocusing video games, because every example you brought up of Sony in that time frame. Oh yeah, a lot of it, yeah. And for a lot of people who are into video games now, that's when they got into video games. PS4, Xbox One. And what does Xbox have to show for? Netflix. What does PlayStation have to show for it? Their entire range of video games.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is the culmination of them starting to move away from games and then backpedaling back into doing games, and now they're playing catch up, and they have to spread out everywhere just to
cast a wide net.
Yeah,
and maybe they reel back on that. I don't know. But
they won't be able to reel back on it. But they're cementing themselves as being everywhere, and then they're just going to start. They have to just start putting everything out.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have tidbits?
I do. I have. It's been busy.
Let's go. What if I told you, in this world, there are bits, and there are tids, and Richard is the only man who can put them together into tidbits. I just want to say before we get, I have a migraine right now, and I have a migraine.
Oh no.
And I'm not the one who gets a milkshake delivered to them.
Oh, wow.
I'm the guy with a migraine, and I don't get a. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I don't want it. No, I am jacked to the tits because you have the cherry on top. I'm gonna gouge your eyes. I'm just referencing the Big Short.
The Big Short. Yeah.
Every time I see a cherry, I just okay. So go ahead, Richard.
A fully playable build of the Wii version of Star Wars Battlefront 3, the canceled one, has recently surfaced online. It can be played with the Dolphin emulator, and it is the near finished build of the canceled project. Those who have played it mention its seamless transitions. Have mentioned how good the seamless transitions are from ground to flight air, and are disappointed that this was never released. Those who have played it are calling it an instant classic if it ever did come out, and have also said that it's very obvious that Battlefront Elite Squadron, which was on PSP and DS, was pretty much what Battlefront 3 was going to be.
Yeah, because those games, you could take a ship and you could fly. On the PSP, you could fly and then you would go into space. I don't remember exactly how it would work.
Yeah.
But that's about. I don't know why Battlefront 3 could never happen. But it's to a number of factors it never did. I did see that pop up on YouTube though, and I haven't watched it. So
there are some unfinished assets, some
sure.
weird things here and there, but it's fully playable apparently. So. Kadokawa and Sony agreed to form a strategic capital and business alliance, Sony acquiring 12,054,100 new Kadokawa shares for approximately 50 billion yen. Sony will become Kadokawa's largest shareholder, holding approximately 10% of its shares, including shares Sony had previously acquired in February of 21. Kadokawa is arguably one of the largest entertainment corporations in Japan. They own From Software, which owns Elden Ring, but not just that, but they pretty much own anime and manga, like almost all of it, which is the scarier thing, and nobody's paying attention to because they're just like Elden Ring, and it's like, well, no, this is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So, anyways, sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing when I'm announcing this. Crush 40 vocalist Johnny Joeli is reportedly suing Sega for breach of contract relating to the company's use of Live and Learn from Sonic Adventure in at least 25 different games, claiming that he owns the song's master recordings and was not properly compensated. I hear that song is in the new movie, and I think Paramount paid him, and he was like, wait a minute. I think that's what people are like assuming what happened, because that's like one of the most well-known songs, and it's been used very frequently, like just throughout the history. And
he's not a gamer.
So I think he finally was like, wait a minute. Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi says, as a developer, his favorite PlayStation game of all time is Ghost of Tsushima. The smooth action, the thrill of stealth, a well-rounded narrative, and the stunning world that feels so alive. I felt all of these elements share a common philosophy, which made me enjoy and appreciate the game even more.
Wow, interesting.
Very interesting.
That would not have been my pick.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic game.
It is a fantastic game. The founder of Nihon Falcom, Masayuki Kato, passed away on December 15, 2024 at the age of 78. Widely regarded as one of the greatest developers/publishers in Japan, and laying the groundwork of action RPGs and JRPGs as a whole. Nihon Falcom is responsible for two long-running franchises, the Trails of series and the Yi series, one of my favorite series, both which are critically well-received and has been gaining popularity slowly in the West. Falcom is also credited with popularizing the use of PCs to play games in the early 80s, with their game Dragon Slayer 2 Xanadu selling more than 400,000 copies, I think, in like 1984, which that's a lot. That's a lot of copies back then.
Well, that's sort of one of the exciting things about video games is he was 80, right? Yeah. He was 80 years old, which is pretty old.
Yeah.
But he's like first gen game developer.
Yeah, he was 40, like 40-ish.
Right?
Almost 40 when.
So we're talking the
it,
first generation of game developers right now are in their 60s, 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, all things considered, is not that super old. when you're talking about like the first generation of people to get into a medium in an art form.
Yeah.
That's how early, like where we are with video games now, movies is, I don't know, maybe the 1940s or 30s or something like that. I'm not
even earlier.
Expert.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
talkies are just coming out.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting to think about? Like,
yeah, it is. It really is.
Know.
And that's why, that's why I'm just kind of like, that's why video games aren't taken seriously still, is because they're still seen as for children, you know?
And in some ways, well, games are just definitionally, they are a young medium.
Yeah.
But anyway.
This one's interesting, very interesting. Back in 2003, Namco co-produced a fantasy adventure game on the PS2 featuring the vocal talents of Kirsten Dunst, Angelica Houston, Keith David, and Richard Harris, who Richard Harris was the original Dumbledore for the first two movies, and then he passed away. It's apparently Harris's final project after playing the Dumbledore and passing. Anyways, the game was Kena, I think, not Kena, but Kena, like Kaena, and it was a CG movie tie-in with a French studio named Zelam. Despite being 100% complete and even advertised in their 2004 European PS2 lineup, Namco never brought the English language version to the market. They only released a small run in Japan with Japanese voice acting. For 20 years, the original English voice version of Kena on PS2 was thought to be lost, but preservationist Robin Davies has acquired and released this long lost English release. So you can get that at thehiddenpalace.org.
That made me think of something that I completely forgot. Tony Todd is in Indiana Jones.
Oh, is he?
He is.
Oh,
and
awesome.
and he plays a really cool character, and I had no idea. Tony Todd just passed away, but Tony Todd, obviously, he was in Blade. He was in he
Final
played
Destination.
Commander Kern in Star Trek, a reoccurring character, one of the cooler reoccurring characters, Worf's brother.
Venom in Spider-Man 2.
So he had like a cool, awesome, one of those actors.
He's Candyman. He was fucking Candyman.
One of those actors that like when you, one of those actors that like everybody knows like one role of his. Almost like a Bill Paxton kind of.
Yeah.
And then once you put all his roles together, you're like, holy shit, this guy was like royalty.
Prolific, yeah.
But yeah, he plays a really cool character in Indiana Jones. And I was and he also played one of the characters in Half-Life Alyx. He played one of the Vortigaunts. Yeah.
Cool.
He does it so well because the Vortigaunt's kind of funny in that one. But Tony Todd, has that really booming,
super deep
voice. But he plays a role, and I won't spoil it because I had no idea. It came out of nowhere, and I was like, holy shit, that's Tony Todd. But he's so... it's just a cool role, and I'm excited when you guys play it for you guys to see it. But anyway, it just made me think of that.
Last one. We got to congratulate War Thunder here. It's now been 0 days since somebody leaked military intelligence in the War Thunder forums.
That had to be a streak.
The leak has come after the recent addition of the Eurofighter Typhoon, and after a forum argument over the scanning capabilities of its impressive Captor radar system. Someone posted restricted documents in an effort to prove their point. They were promptly banned and removed from the forums.
I don't know how it keeps happening, but
I love it.
At this point,
it is tradition.
At this point,
it is tradition.
At this point, the forums are just full of. It's just the CIA, the FSB, whatever Chinese intelligence name is, and like Saudi intelligence, North Korea intelligence.
Yeah,
and they're just trying to goad each other. So like the last Russian tank was like the T-14. So there's some CIA agent who's like, I heard the T-14 sucks balls. Anybody got the dogs on this? And they just keep, and then there's like some
yeah, buddy, well.
Yeah, there's some Russian agent that's like, I heard that Abrams is a poopy tank and shoots soda at fat Americans, and just trying to goad each other into
the CIA is like, you're damn right it does.
Exactly. Yeah. At this point, it's just like spooks saying things at each other to try and like.
Why are things classified anyways? Just. I know.
Good point.
If they're being released on forums or a video game, like what's the point anymore?
Anything else, Richard?
No, that was it. That was all the tidbits.
Follow us on YouTube, patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. On the road.
To sleep.